Hallo und herzlich willkommen aus Braunschweig. Hello and welcome everybody from Braunschweig. Probably you never heard about this German city. It's the second largest city of Lower Saxony. It has a population of 250,000 people. So why it will be worth to watch this vlog? I will present you very beautiful traditional German buildings and also many historical facts, interesting details about Braunschweig. In English it is called Brunswick. So yes, I think it will be worth to watch this travel film. And well, as you already used to it, I will start with some historical facts. The date and the circumstances of founding of the city are not clear. There's a legend that Braunschweig was established in the 9th century. There were two settlements on the banks of the Oker river. Actually, I'm standing right now on the banks of this river, which crosses Braunschweig. So on one side there was a settlement of the Saxon count called Bruno, and on the other side there was another settlement of the Saxon Count Dankward, and these two settlements were unified. This is how the city was established. The city's original name of Brunswick is actually a combination of the name of Bruno and the Low German word Wick, which was a place where merchants stored and rested their goods. The first written mention of the city can be found in the documents of the Saint Magni Church. In 1031 the city was called Brunswick. Up to the 12th century Brunswick was ruled by the noble Saxon family of Brunonitz, but then after, through marriage, it fell to the house of Welfs, and well, the first very famous Duke of Saxony from this house was Henry the Lion. He was also from the house of Welfs, and he placed the capital city here in Braunschweig and turned the castle of the Saxon counts, the Dankwarderode castle, to his own Pfalz. Pfalz was a term describing a royal place, a royal palace. So he built also many other buildings, and the city went through significant development, and well, between those was the Cathedral of Saint Blasius. We will visit these attractions, and there is also a very interesting story that well, he was Henry the Lion, so he erected a statue, a lion statue, in front of the Dankwarderode castle, and I will tell more funny and interesting details about this statue. So subsequently Brunswick was nicknamed as Lion City because well, of this lion statue, and because Henry the Lion was who developed the city very much. So in German it is called Löwenstadt, which is in English Lion City. During the medieval ages, Brunswick was an important center of trade and one of Western Europe's economical and political centers, and also a part of the Hanseatic League. And in 1600 Brunswick was the 7th largest German city. In the 18th century Brunswick also became a cultural center, because in the period of Enlightenment Dukes Anthony Ulrich and Charles I were supporting arts and science. So Charles I also established the Collegium Carolinum, the first college in this area, and this is the predecessor of the currently very famous Technical University of Braunschweig. Many people come to study here. So that period was very important from the cultural point of view, and also Goethe's Faust was first performed here in Brunswick. In 1806 the city was captured by the French during the Napoleonic Wars, and it became a part of the short-living Napoleonic Kingdom of Westphalia. The exiled Duke Friedrich Wilhelm raised a volunteer corps, the Black Brunswickers. This was the name of this troop, and they battled the French several times. In 1815 the Duchy of Brunswick gained again independence after the Congress of Vienna, and of course the capital was Braunschweig. Later it was the constituent state of the German Empire in 1871. In the 19th century, because of the industrialization, the population of the city was growing very fast, and for the first time they needed to construct houses after the medieval fortifications of the city, and also behind the river Oker, so the city was growing very fast. A shocking story now. On the 25th February of 1932, the interior minister of Braunschweig, Dietrich Klages, named Adolf Hitler the administrator of the state's delegation to the Reichsrat. Reichsrat was de facto the upper house of the parliament in Berlin, and in this way Hitler gained the citizenship of Braunschweig and became a German citizen. So this is how he could run for the election in 1932, unless he couldn't do this because he was born in Austria. On the 15th October of 1944, the Allied forces were bombing the old town of Braunschweig and destroyed almost completely everything, also the churches, and well, these are restored now and we will visit them. During the Cold War, Braunschweig was suffering economically due to its proximity to the Iron Curtain. Many historically important trading partners were on the other side of the Iron Curtain, for example Leipzig or Dresden, and well, so Braunschweig was part of West Germany, and many allies, many trading partners were on the other side of the Iron Curtain in East Germany. Only after the reunification of Germany there were some new measures to increase the economy of the city, and also some historical buildings were renovated and reconstructed, which were destroyed during the Second World War. So you can imagine that they waited so many years because they didn't have enough money to do these renovations and reconstructions. Well, nowadays Braunschweig is a very important city, and it grows very much economically, and also it's a hub of science research. There's a very famous university, the University of Technology, and some other educational centers, and some big companies. Well, if you remember, in 1600 Braunschweig was the 7th largest German city, so yes, comparing to the medieval importance, Braunschweig is not so known and not so famous now in Germany. The Physikalisch-Technische Bundesanstalt is the National Meteorology Institute of Germany, which maintains an atomic clock here in Braunschweig, and this atomic clock is responsible for the official German time. And some other interesting fact about Braunschweig: Carl Friedrich Gauss, the famous mathematician and physicist, was born and was studying here at the Technical University of Braunschweig. Braunschweig was also famous because of a very peculiar kind of beer called Mumme. This Mumme was shipped all over the world, and the first written mention about this was in 1390, so you can imagine it's a very interesting legend about this Mumme beer. We cannot find this anymore, but we still have two breweries, two big breweries in Braunschweig. One is the Hofbräuhaus Wolters, established in 1627, and also Feldschlösschen, which was established in the 19th century and now is operated by Oettinger Beer. And one last interesting information about Braunschweig, but this is arguable, it's not for sure. The professor called Konrad Koch organized the first ever football game of Germany here in Braunschweig in 1874, and he was the first who translated the rules of football from English to German, and then he organized for his pupils the first football game. The Dankwarderode castle on the Burgplatz in Braunschweig is a Saxon lowland castle. In German it is called Niederungsburg. This was the residence of the Brunswick dukes for centuries. In the 11th century, the Counts of Brunitz already had a fortification on a natural island on the Oker, which was first mentioned in a document in 1134 as Castrum Dankwarderode. After, Henry the Lion built Dankwarderode castle in its place from around 1160 to 1175 as his own castle, his place, his royal palace. Duke Dankwart as namesake is not historically proven. The castle lost its military significance as a defense structure very early, when it became surrounded completely by the growing city. During the 15th century, the Dukes of Brunswick, Wolfenbüttel, moved their residence out of the city and actually to the nearby town Wolfenbüttel. They established their residence there instead of this burg, this castle. So, after in 1616, the palace was remodeled in the Renaissance style, while the rest of the castle was demolished. What we see now, so the present structure, was rebuilt in 1887 by Ludwig Winter based on archaeological investigations. The ground floor is dedicated to a museum, but currently is closed. I went inside 4 years ago, I think, and it was a very beautiful exhibition there, because there were some medieval stuff inside. So after it will be reopened, I can just advise to go inside. So there's a text that they don't even know when they will open it. Bis auf weiteres geschlossen. But actually this would be the normal timetable, €5 entrance fee, and this is how you can imagine inside. It's beautiful. Duke Henry the Lion used this lion statue as a symbol of his power. The lion is the most famous symbol of the city of Braunschweig. Since it was erected on the Burgplatz, it has stood in front of the Dankwarderode castle and the Braunschweig cathedral. It was created in bronze between 1164 and 1176. The monument was moved to the Dankwarderode castle in 1980 and later replaced at the original location by a replica. So this is a replica what we can see, and inside of the burg, inside of the castle, we can find the original statue dating back to the end of the 12th century. So it's absolutely amazing. And the funny story about this statue is that they used they didn't know how a lion looks like, so the ears of the lion are actually human ears, because nobody ever saw a real lion, so they just imagined how can it look like, and they formed the statue like that. So the Brunswick lion was the first large detached sculpture of the Middle Ages north of the Alps. The bronze casting by an unknown artist, probably from Brunswick, weighs 880 kilograms and has a height of 1.78 meters, a length of 2.79 meters. The lion soon became the heraldic animal of Braunschweig, so it appeared in the city's seal and on the ducal coins, and also now it is on the coat of arms of Braunschweig. It was restored in 1616 and then in 1858. The threat by strategic bombing during World War II prompted the city administration to replace the original sculpture by a copy already cast in 1937, kept safe at Rammelsberg mines in the Harz mountains. The original statue was brought back to Braunschweig by the British occupation forces after the war, and it was reinstalled in a big festive ceremony. So Braunschweig is called the Löwenstadt, the Lion City. There is also a fictional story about this lion. This is the Henrich's Sage. So what happened? Duke Henry was on a pilgrimage on the Holy Land, and he saw a lion fighting with a dragon, and he joined this battle on the side of the lion, of course, and they could kill and conquer this very huge dragon. And what happened? The lion joined as a loyal friend the company of Henry, and he also returned with him back to Brunswick, and well, it was like Henry's favorite pet. They were always together, going everywhere together. And after Henry died, the lion refused to take food and water, and he also passed away next to the coffin of his favorite friend. And well, the citizens of Brunswick, in order to honor the lion and his loyalty, erected this sculpture. But as I said, this is only a fictional legend. The history was presented by myself before. In front of the Dankwarderode castle we can find the castle square, the Burgplatz. It is the historical and geographical center of Brunswick. It has a great cultural importance. We can find here many old buildings. This is actually the center of the old town of Brunswick. I will present all these beautiful buildings. Duke Henry the Lion expanded the Burgplatz into the center of power of the House of Wealth in the 12th century. The Burgplatz still shows the medieval floor plan. It is used in a variety of ways. For example, in the summer for performances by the Braunschweig State Theater with a temporary stage and the spectator stands. Also, the Braunschweig Christmas market takes place regularly on the Burgplatz and on adjacent squares. In front of us there are two very beautiful traditional German buildings. This is where it splits in two. This is on the left side, it's the Feldheimsches Haus, and on the right side is the Hunebortersches Haus. Achatz von Feldheim was a noble citizen of Brunswick, and he ordered the construction of this building in the 16th century. It was finished in 1573. Absolutely amazing, typical medieval German architectural style. It was first renovated in 1868, but of course the bombings of the Second World War destroyed the house completely, so it was reconstructed in 1974, finished in 75. So this is actually what we can see now. Absolutely amazing structure. This gate is also amazing. It's written there Handwerkskammer, which means the Chamber of Crafts. So actually this house is currently used by the Chamber of Crafts Braunschweig Lüneburg Stade. And over there we can also see some writings. Achatz von Feldheim and Margarete von Zalder. She was his wife, so their names are written on the top of the gate. So this is the Huneborstelsches house. It is also a half timbered house as the other one, the Feldheimsches house. So in 1524 the Braunschweiger Friedrich Huneborstel, councillor, judge and treasurer, had this house built in the Zach area. The house has largely been preserved over the centuries. Only in the 18th century, and then only slightly, was the lower part and the facade rebuilt. Due to the modernization in the city center of Braunschweig in the 20th century, the house was to be demolished, but the city council bought the old structural facade, parts of the two storage floors and the entire roof structure, and these parts were superimposed on the new building here. So because of that, this house won a lot of major titles as one of the most valuable houses in Germany, because its half timbered facade has been preserved. And also a very interesting story about this. In 1944, when the Huneborstelsches house and this area around the Burgplatz already suffered heavy damage from the bombing, the facade was removed and moved to Hessen. And in 1955 the facade was returned to Braunschweig. So this is how it was preserved. That's also absolutely amazing story, how this historical building was kept for future generations. This is also building of Handwerkskammer, and I want to show you this amazing text here in traditional German writing. Friedrich Huneborstels Haus im Zarke erbaut 1536. It was built in 1536. Yes, and look at these sculptures next to the windows, absolutely amazing. And over there on the floors, that's absolutely incredible. It's like we traveled back in time to see such a medieval structure. Now let's visit the Cathedral of Brunswick, Braunschweiger Dom, the Dome of Braunschweig, and it is also called Dom Sankt Blasi, so the church, the Cathedral of Saint Blasius. So yeah, this is what we'll visit now. It was constructed between 1173 and 1195. The constructions were commissioned by Henry the Lion himself, and he was buried here together with his princess consort Matilda, and their graves are right in the front of the altar, so we'll go inside and check that also. Henry the Lion established this church as a collegiate church, but now it is a Lutheran church. Actually, when he passed away, the church was not yet fully constructed, and it was consecrated only later on the 29th December of 1226, and it was dedicated to Saints Saint Blasius, also called like that, Saint John the Baptist, and Saint Thomas Becket. And during the time of the Protestant Reformation, it became a Lutheran church in 1543. Very precious treasures were kept here. Until 1671, the cathedral held a medieval collection of ecclesiastical relics that later became known as the Welfenschatz, because the House of the Welf collected these treasures, these relics. But in 2015, Germany declared these treasures a national treasure, and they brought them to the Bode Museum to Berlin. I don't understand this decision. These treasures would belong here to Braunschweig, but well, they know it better. So of course the cathedral was rebuilt, expanded and reconstructed several times until today. And also one more interesting information, that not just Henry the Lion was buried here, but also Otto IV, Holy Roman Emperor, and Caroline of Brunswick, Queen Consort of George IV of the United Kingdom. This is the city hall of Braunschweig, Rathaus. It was built between 1894 and 1900, based on the plans of Ludwig Winter in a neo-Gothical style. Absolutely beautiful building. It also has a 61 meters high clock tower, 5-pointed tower. It's absolutely amazing that it survived almost intact the bombings of the Second World War, even though 90% of the old town was destroyed. So they could use the city hall right after the war. So the city hall is actually right next to the cathedral. This is the back side of the Braunschweig Cathedral. So many beautiful buildings in the nearby. This is the main facade, the main entrance of the city hall. The construction cost was 2.5 million German marks. That time that was the currency of Germany. Absolutely beautiful neo-Gothic decorations, and look at those statues. Also some wedding ceremonies took place in this romantic building. I hope that tomorrow I can also go upstairs to the tower. As I read, the entrance fee is free, so it's nothing to pay, but it's open very rarely, only during weekdays from 10 AM until 3 PM. And this square right in front of the city hall is the Platz der Deutschen Einheit, which means the square of the German unification. An absolutely amazing building. ...161 stairs. It's not easy, but at least the stairs are not too narrow. So now I got upstairs. It's a very beautiful view. This is the place of the German unification in front of us. Platz der Deutschen Einheit. It was very funny that I was not let to come upstairs because I was alone, and the guard said that it's not allowed, that's the rule. And I asked him, of course, why, and he said it's because nobody can take care of me, nobody can look after me. I was literally surprised, and I waited like 15 minutes until some tourists came. Actually, no real tourists, or I don't know, they were two teenager girls, very young, they were like 14 or 15, and then the guard said that I'm allowed to come upstairs, and I was like, okay, they will take care of me. It's very funny. But yeah, this is actually the story behind it. So it's a great view. There we can see the Braunschweiger Schloss, the castle, and next to it the shopping mall, Schloss Arkaden. So you can use this information if you are traveling as a tourist alone to Braunschweig, that you will need to wait until other tourists will come. This is still the building of the Rathaus, of the city hall. It's always good to catch some point where you have a bird eye view. Wow. Kayaking is a very famous water sport here on the river Oker in Braunschweig. Many locals and also tourists come to this river to try this sport. And well, I also tried it, and it was absolutely amazing experience. I was lucky that one colleague joined me, because otherwise I couldn't do it. You need at least two persons to do it. Well, of course, also because you're a tourist, so you can easily get lost and you must return to the pickup point. So these kayak boats can be rented, and also now in the autumn is a very famous sport, because actually we are now in September of 2023. Our next attraction is Schloss Braunschweig, the Brunswick Palace. It was the residence of the Brunswick dukes from 1753 until the 8th November of 1918. Work on the first building was begun in 1717 under the direction of Hermann Korb. After this building burned down in 1830, the second palace was built by Karl Theodor Ottmer, being completed in 1841. This was completely demolished in 1960 at the direction of Brunswick's City Council due to the heavy damage it had suffered in air raids during the Second World War. The palace park, Schloss Park, was laid out on the resulting waste ground. This was also completely removed in the spring of 2005, following another resolution of the City Council in 2004 in order to erect a large shopping center, the so-called Schloss Arkaden, Palace Arcades. By spring 2007, on the land that had been cleared. The outer facade of the Braunschweig Schloss was reconstructed, so they decided to reconstruct the palace. The shopping center protrudes into the palace body only in the covered inner courtyard and half of the ground floor. It's absolutely interesting and unexpected architectural design and solution. As an independent structure, it continues to the north in a modern commercial building. I will show you how does this look like. A palace, and inside it's a shopping mall. I never heard about something like this. It's absolutely amazing. 80% of the area of the palace reconstruction is rented by the city, and it is used for cultural purposes, including a city library and the castle museum. There on my right side, so right in front of us, is the library, Bibliothek, and on the other wing is the museum. We'll also go inside of this museum. One more outstanding feature of this palace is the Braunschweiger quadriga. This is the largest charioteer statue group in Europe. It is 9.2 meters high and 7.5 meters wide and 9.5 meters long. We'll go upstairs. Last time when I checked, it was only €2 entrance fee, so it's not expensive to climb there. There are also two statues of two famous dukes. Friedrich Wilhelm is the first one on the right side. And his father, Karl Wilhelm Ferdinand. So this is the shopping mall Schloss Arkaden, and this is how you can imagine that this shopping mall continues over there. right inside of the palace. As I said, it's absolutely surprising architectural solution for me. It's a huge shopping mall. You can find all big shopping chains here. Also McDonald's and some fast food stuff. And these statues are new. I don't know the story behind why the city council placed these kind of statues in many places in Braunschweig's city center. I don't find them very nice. They are actually kind of ugly, but also funny. So yeah, I don't judge it, but it's a little bit weird that they put these many places. I will also show you some other statues of this kind, and they are usually the same faces. So let's go inside the museum, where a permanent exhibition awaits us. It not only conveys the eventful history of the palace and its inhabitants, but also gives an impression of the glamorous life at the Braunschweig court. The throne room and the audience room, the study and the music rooms were furnished with original furniture, paintings and works of art, so it will be an amazing view. The viewing platform and the quadriga is closed until further notice, so unfortunately we cannot go upstairs. It's a pity. I hope this will change in the future and maybe I can do a separate vlog, or I don't know, I can present it somehow. After visiting so many traditional German buildings, let's discover the Happy Rizzi House. It's decorated with happy faces, and it was designed by American artist James Rizzi. That's why it is called Happy Rizzi House. The style is from the 20th century pop art decoration style, and it was constructed by Konrad Kloster. He was the architect. It was absolutely surprising when I came first time here to see this building. It's very funny. It has a lot of happy faces on it. That's why it's called Happy. And it was designed by Rizzi. So that's why it is Happy Rizzi House. One side is under renovation now. But, still very funny. Can't imagine coming to work here. Probably it's very funny in the beginning until the boss is starting to stress you. There's also a New Yorker here. Yes, many people don't know that this shopping chain New Yorker, which is selling clothes, is originally from Brunswick, from here, from Braunschweig. It's very famous also in my country. Many people go to shop in New Yorker. It's absolutely incredible decoration. It remembers me on some kind of Japanese anime, or I don't know. Or some 5-year-old started to draw everything, and we say, okay, let's put all of these drawings on the facade of this building. Look, also there is a happy face. This is the main motive of this building.
Das müsste eigentlich wissen als Politiker.
It is next to the Schlossarkaden, next to the Brunswick Palace. This is the oldest church of Brunswick. The Magniviertel dates from the early 11th century, and today forms the center of the Magniviertel, a district of Brunswick. The consecration certificate from the year 1031 is considered the first documentary evidence of the existence of what is today the city of Braunschweig, Brunswick. In this document, the settlement is referred to as Brunswick. The Apulian bishop Magnus is assumed to be the patron saint. The parish church of Saint Magni was rebuilt from 1252, but the remains of the original church have been preserved in the foundations. The bell of the church, the Magnus Glocke from 1335, hangs in the bell house, and this is the oldest bell in the Braunschweig region. Between 1873 and 1877, the building was restored by Ludwig Winter. and it was painted in the style of historicism by Max Osterloh and Adolf Quenzen. During the Second World War, the church was badly damaged, especially by the bombing raid on the 23rd April of 1944. After the end of the war, only the tower and the columned arcades of the nave were left standing. From 1956 to 1964, the building was restored in a significantly modified, partly modern form, and the citizens of Braunschweig criticized this reconstruction, why the oldest church should look so modern, so it got many critics.
Willst du einmal im Kreis gehen? Ja.
Ich muss Bulli noch machen.
Nicht.
This is the Egidienkirche, the church of Saint Egidi. It is the main Roman Catholic church of Braunschweig. It is a hall church in a Gothic style, built to replace a Romanesque building of 1115, which burned down in 1278. After the fire in 1278, the original Romanesque building was completely rebuilt in the style of a French Gothic cathedral. The overall consecration took place in 1478. It acted as the abbey church to the Benedictine Abbey of Saints Mary and Egidius. After the monastery's abolition in the time of Reformation, it was used as a Protestant church. During the Second World War, the building was badly damaged. On the 1st September of 1945, the Saint Egidian Church was handed over to the Catholic Saint Nikolai congregation, which had lost its church in a bomb attack on the 15th October of 1944. So it was made a Roman Catholic parish church. Extensive exterior and interior renovations took place between 1974 and 1979. Since 1st January 1980, the parish of Saint Nikolai has been called Saint Egidienkirche, or also Saint Egidius. Both namings are correct. So let's go inside and take a look. We arrived again to a historic medieval place. This is the Gewandhaus, located on the Altstadt Markt. Altstadt Markt can be translated to English as the old city's market. This is the square where you can find this beautiful old building. So Gewandhaus served as a warehouse, sales and guild house of the Guild of Cloth Tailors. Two restaurants are now located in the Gothic hall and adjoining vaults of the building, and the upper floor had been used by the Braunschweig Chamber of Industry and Commerce since 1910. The Gewandhaus certainly existed before 1268. It was only from this year that the city council began to record its negotiations in city council books. The first written mention of Gewandhaus is in these city council books, and it's dated back to 1307. In the Gewandhaus, the tailors sold their clothes in sections or in bales in the so-called wall stalls. In order to protect both buyers and sellers from fraudsters, standardized measure of length was introduced in Braunschweig as early as the 16th century. The Braunschweiger Elle, in English an L, it is a northwestern European unit of measurement. So it measures 15.07 centimeters and has been firmly anchored to the second arrow of the old town hall compared to the Gewandhaus. So in front of us is the old town hall, which I will present you also soon. And this is how it was working. People came outside to use this measurement in order to be sure that they were not double-crossed. They really bought what they wanted and not less. The first reconstruction of the building, which had became dilapidated over time, took place from 1588 to 1592. The east gable was redesigned in a Renaissance style, and the west gable is characterized by Gothic elements and is designed very simply. As a result of numerous air raids in 1944, the Gewandhaus burned down completely. Only the east facade remained standing. The upper part of the east gable finally collapsed during a stormy night in 1946. So between 1948 and 1950 the Gewandhaus was reconstructed. This is what we can see now. So now we are at the Altstadt Markt. The square, which was laid out during the 12th century, was the main marketplace, location of trade fairs, fairground, execution place also, a venue for riders' games, parades and processions. The Altstadt Markt was probably planned as a rectangle in the early 12th century. At the time there was still a wide wet ditch running across the area. Also immigrant merchants who came from Westphalia ensured increasing prosperity in this district, and this market became the most powerful part of Braunschweig in the Middle Ages, because many sellers came here, so it was the main place for trading. Also now a weekly market takes place here every Wednesday and Saturday. Special goods are also presented at the weekly market. These include pickled olives, tomatoes and peppers, seasonal vegetables and fruits such as asparagus and strawberries, but also pineapple, fish, cheese and numerous meat and sausage products also enrich the balanced range of products. The house to the 7 towers, house to the Sieben Türmen, is a Baroque residential building which belongs to the Old Town Market, Altstadt Markt. The name house to the 7 towers, or the 7 towers for the building at the Altstadt Markt number 11, has been documented since 1294. The representation of the 7 towers is not about Braunschweig, but about the representation of the prison of the 7 towers in Constantinople, the current Istanbul. The Baroque depiction uses the allegory of the crescent moons here, although Constantinople was not yet Muslim at the time of the underlying event. According to a legend, one companion of Henry the Lion, whose name is not known, is said to have been imprisoned in the prison of the 7 towers in Constantinople on the pilgrimage in 1172 to the Holy Land, and he said in his vow, "If I ever get out, I will build a house with 7 towers." So he came back to Braunschweig and built this house with 7 towers. The building was repaired after very heavy damage of the Second World War, and completely reconstructed in 1996. Now it is a bank inside. This is the old town's city hall, Altstadt Rathaus. The Gothic town hall is one of the oldest surviving town halls in Germany, the oldest part of which dates from the middle of the 13th century. Even before 1253 there was a town hall in the old town as the seat of the government of the local council, but this previous building southwest of the Martini Church was sold this year in order to erect a larger and more representative new building at the current location here. The first written mention of this city hall is from 1302, when it was mentioned as Dat Rathus. Due to the numerous bombing raids of the Second World War, the building burned down completely, but the facades remained almost undamaged. Today the old town hall serves as a representation of the city. The ground floor is used as an exhibition space for the museum of the city. The city receives its guests in the mayor's room and the larger hall of the main building, the so-called Dornse. And I found this measure tool already on the walls of the old city hall. This is the Braunschweiger Elle. The Altstadt Marktbrunnen, also occasionally referred to as Marienbrunnen in recent times, has stood on the Altstadt Markt since it was erected at the end of November 1408. It is a late Gothic free bowl fountain, which, as can be read in Latin, on the rim of the lowest bowl was cast in the year of the Lord 1408 on the eve of Saint Catherine. Well, if I wouldn't do my research about this, I couldn't read these writings. It's absolutely incredible and hard to read. The casting material used is lead from Ramelsberg near Goslar, about 50 kilometers south from the city. The three differently sized pyramid-shaped bowls are decorated with numerous coats of arms, figures, floral decorations, and Middle Low German and Latin inscriptions. From the medieval ages, Until the modern times, the spring well also served to supply Brunswick's all the town with drinking and extinguishing water. It is not known when the fountain was designed. It was totally destroyed in the Second World War and after rebuilt. And the original fountain was 9 meters high, and this one is only 8 meters. Pigeon wants to be part of the vlog. Another very old building of Brunswick is the Martinikirche, Saint Martin's Church. It is a parish church built from the 12th century as the main parish church of the old town. Construction began around 1190, and Henry the Lion is considered the initiator. It is the only medieval double-towered church in Brunswick with a completed western building. It was converted into a Gothic hall church between 1250 and 1400. From the Romanesque construction phase, the west building with parts of a Romanesque belfry and the 2 western side aisle portals, which were moved during the renovation, have been preserved. Worth seeing are the early Baroque organ, the high altar, both from 1728, the baptismal font from the 15th century, and the pulpit from the 17th century. Absolutely amazing parts of this old church. During the bombing raid of Brunswick on the 15th October of 1944, the roof and the westwork burned out completely. The interior of the church, however, was largely spared from the fire. That's why we can still enjoy the sight of these very old relics inside of the church. The interior of the church still offers these very beautiful parts, as I mentioned, the organ and the pulpit and so on. Of course, it was renovated sometimes, for example, between 1979 and 1987. And in 1980, the 2 towers were also finally restored. So let's go inside and take a look.
nie gearbeitet.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I came again to Braunschweig, and this time the quadriga is open, it can be visited, so we will climb upstairs. And this is the machine from which we should buy our ticket. It's just €2, and after that we can take the elevator to the top. Happy Rizzi House. In the Magniviertel there is a narrow alley between the properties am Magniviertel 1 and 2 called Herrendorf Twette. The Twette is a good old piece of Braunschweig. Originally the term Twette meant a narrow alley between houses that was too narrow to be driven on, so you can find many old medieval buildings here. It was very common in the medieval ages to have in the cities such narrow alleys. This is how it looked like. So now of course we cannot get the old medieval feeling. These houses were reconstructed after the war, but yes, we are walking now on a historical alley which existed already in the medieval ages. In the Magniviertel many timber houses were rebuilt. It is worth to visit the Alte Knochenhauer Straße, because on this street we can find old Gothic buildings dating back to the 15th century. Some houses were built in 1470 and some others in 1490. The approximately 5-meter high remains of the wall between Prinzenweg and Gisellarwall are part of the walling of the entire city in the 13th century. Here you get an impression of the oldest fortification in the city, as this wall was completed in 1218. Johann Heinrich Stoppwasser built his lacquerware factory on the Echternstraße 16, on this street called Echternstraße. This lacquerware production was an important arts and crafts industry in the 18th century in Braunschweig. And if you come to this street, you will be amazed, because there are a lot of traditional German houses the number 1415. We can find also one which was constructed in 1559. "2,000 years of Christianity." 2000 Jahre Christentum is the name of this monument, bronze column. It was designed by the artist Jürgen Weber. It was unveiled on the 21st September of 2006. The work art was financed by Richard Borek Foundation. It was Weber's last large sculpture. On the 8.5 meters high bronze column, the artist addresses the development of Christianity over the last 2000 years in several scenes. It is a little bit difficult to enjoy also the scenes on the top, because we cannot really see what is about it, but I can imagine it was a really detailed and hard and long work to do this column. Absolutely amazing work, very detailed. One more work of the sculpture Jürgen Weber, which was erected in 1975, is the Ringerbrunnen, the wrestling fountain. You know, Braunschweig is the Löwenstadt, the Lions city, and well, there was a giant called Antaios who was eating lions, and of course the people of Braunschweig don't like it. So no, I'm just actually joking. So this might be an idea why Jürgen Weber chose this scene from the Greek mythology to represent when Hercules is killing the giant Antaios, who is eating lions. How can we identify that? They are sitting on a lion skin. So this giant Antaios was invincible when staying on his feet, but when Hercules could lift him in the air, he could kill him. This was the scene which Jürgen Weber used for this fountain. and it is 2.3 meters high sculpture. Kleine Burg is one of the old medieval streets of Braunschweig which have been preserved. We can find many traditional German houses on this tiny street. On the right you can see the flag of Germany. You can also find many restaurants and cafes on this street. And also a tourist information point. So the street Kleine Burg is not very long, as you can see. It is already over and we arrive to the Cathedral of Braunschweig. This one is also beautiful. The Achtermann house at Reichsstraße 3 was built by the master builder Ulrich Stamm during the 30 Years' War in the years 1626 to 1630 for the mayor and the merchant Georg Achtermann from Goslar and his wife Lucia von Strombeck. So because of this is the house called Achtermann house, or in German Achtermannsches Haus. After restoration in 1936 the building was destroyed during the Second World War in a bomb attack on the night of 15 October 1944 down to the massive outer walls. The reconstruction took place between 1947 and 1949, so now we can enjoy it as it was before. Very beautiful building, and we should also take a look on the entrance. Absolutely amazing decoration with the coat of arms. And look at these statues. Yeah, amazing main door. Alte Waage was originally constructed in 1534 as a storage and weighing house for Neustadt, for the new city district. So what we can see now is a detailed reconstruction of the original building. It was completed in 1994 because the original half-timbered house was completely destroyed in the Second World War. With the height of 21 meters, Alte Waage is the largest and most imposing half-timbered house in the city. The building is a detached multi-story half-timbered building. It's absolutely amazing. Some people say that it's nothing to see in Braunschweig and it's a boring city, but well, if you really enjoy medieval buildings and architecture, then you have a lot to see. So this is the main entrance, the main facade. In my opinion, it's absolutely splendid. This is one of the most beautiful medieval squares of Braunschweig. First mentioned in a document in 1342 under the name Uppedeme Colemarchede, and in Latin language Forum Carborum. The coal market is much older and was one of the city's early settlements as early as the 10th century. Today's name coal market is therefore due to Kohle, which is coal in German language. So coal was stored and sold here, and not the vegetable coal. So I think many people who come here think that actually this square was a cabbage market, because in German language coal means cabbage. The market square formed the intersection of two long-distance trade routes that shared the ford through the Oker. At this point, it was an ideal resting and stacking place for traders. The meeting of the trade routes can be also recognized by the fact that the square is trapezoidal. We can find many beautiful buildings here, and a lot of pubs and terraces, restaurants and cafes. It also has a fountain which is not working now. It was constructed first in 1391 and rebuilt in 1869 according to the old plans. So now Kohlmarkt is a central meeting place in the pedestrian zone and the scene of numerous events. Also Christmas market takes place here. Its character lies in the variety of historic facades from different eras. On the edge of the Kohlmarkt stands the house at Ziegenmarkt 2, built in 1758 by the court architect Georg Christoph Sturm for the widow of the mayor Anton Julius Kamman. Now it is a restaurant inside, so people are looking at me while I'm taking a video of the building, but well, it's just an attraction of the square. There are many old buildings in this area. We are still on the Kohlmarkt, and the next famous building is the Haus zur Rose. It is located on the corner of the Schuhstrasse. The first building stood here as early as 1268 and was expanded in 1309. The front visible today dates from 1590. It is decorated with a large golden rose and shows similarities with the east facade of Gewandhaus, not very far from here. The window frames of the Haus zur Rose still show the late Gothic style, whereas the ground floor vaults probably go back to restoration work in 1865. This is very old. Der Goldene Rose von 1309, 1309, and it was renovated in 1865. This is what is written here. Very old, beautiful buildings on this square. Opposite to the Haus zur Rose, we can find the Haus zur Sonne, the sun house. Also very beautiful building. Between 1792 and 93, Christian Gottlob Langwagen erected a new stone building on the site of the building already attested to in the Middle Ages, which in turn was modified in 1885 by Constantin Ude in the style of the German Renaissance. Absolutely amazing building. The house of the mayor also stood on the coal mart. It was constructed in 1354, Haus des Bürgermeisters, and it was reconstructed in 1993 based on the plans from 1888. The origins of Saint Andreas in Braunschweig probably go back to a hall church building around 1160. So this is the Andreaskirche, Saint Andreas Church. From about 1230, a three-aisled basilica was built as a parish church for the community in Braunschweig's new town. The Andreaskirche was first mentioned in a document in 1290. It has been a Protestant church since 1528. Absolutely huge temple. In addition to the most famous landmark of the city of Braunschweig, the Braunschweig lion, the Andreaskirche, more precisely its south tower, can be regarded as another identity establishing landmark of the city of Henry the Lion, because the towers of this church can be found on all the engravings. Due to its symbolic value for the people of Braunschweig, the Andreaskirche was one of the first buildings in the largely destroyed medieval city, whose restoration and reconstruction began soon after the end of the Second World War. The South Tower got its Baroque hood back in 1955 and the new windows were installed. At 93 meters, the South Tower of the Andreaskirche is still the tallest church tower in Braunschweig. Next to the Andreaskirche we can find a very old library which was constructed in the 14th century. It was one of the first libraries of Germany opened to the public. It was constructed in North German Gothic style. Well, when I say that it's a very old building, we should add that it was almost destroyed during the Second World War, so it's actually a reconstruction. Braunschweig has many beautiful churches and cathedrals. This is St. Catherine's Church. It was built at the beginning of the 13th century as a parish church in the Hagen district. The Evangelical Lutheran Church since 1528 dominates the eastern side of Hagenmarkt. The main patron saint is Saint Catherine of Alexandria. After being destroyed during World War II, restoration began in 1946. The spires and the interior were renewed in 1957. In 1958 they finished the works. 3 bells from the years 1498, 1533 and 1656 have been preserved. The south tower has a height of 82.18 meters, the north tower 74.08 meters. It is also remarkable to wonder about the elaborate and costly equipment of the interior, where we can find the Fritzsche organ from 1623 and the Schulenburg epitaph from 1621, so from the times of the 30 Years' War. The fountain and the statue of Henry the Lion can be found on the Hagenmarkt square. Hagen is a district in Braunschweig, and it was founded by Henry the Lion himself in the 12th century. And this fountain was made in 1874. It's 274 meters high statue of Henry the Lion. One more interesting fact about this place is that actually the fountain, the medieval bronze fountain and statue of Saint Catherine was here because it's next to the Saint Catherine church. That was made in the 15th century, but it was melted down and used in the War of Revolution, in the War of Freedom in 1814. They cast a cannon from the melted bronze statue. Yes, that happened many times also in Hungary. They used bronze statues to make more cannons. Of course, Henry Lion's symbol appears everywhere. Some lions are guarding this fountain. It's very funny that I can see almost every fountain here. Kein Trinkwasser. It's not drinking water. I don't know who needed this specification. Probably some people were drinking from the fountain. The Eulenspiegel fountain in Braunschweig is an ornamental fountain depicting a prank by the character of Till Eulenspiegel. He was the protagonist of a German chapbook published in 1515. There are also Eulenspiegel fountains in other cities in Germany. According to a legend, Till Eulenspiegel stayed in Braunschweig several times, where he is said to have played a number of pranks on the city's citizens and craftsmen, including the one that he baked owls and monkeys from the dough instead of bread in a bakery. Even today you can get owls and monkeys in the form of pastries in some Braunschweig bakeries. In memory of the fool Till Eulenspiegel and his pranks in Braunschweig, the Jewish banker Bernhard Meyersfeld donated the fountain in 1905, whereby the figure of Eulenspiegel is said to be a replica of a statue from 1639. The Wolfenbüttel artist Arnold Kramer designed the fountain and also built it. It was set up on the Becker-Klint Street opposite to the Eulenspiegel house, where Till is said to have baked the owls and the monkeys. The unveiling of the statue took place on the 27th September of 1906. The fountain was neither relocated nor protected during the Second World War, but was the only building to survive the bombing raid of the 15th October of 1944, undamaged, while the entire surrounding area, mostly consisting of half-timbered houses, was completely destroyed. The Eulenspiegel house was also destroyed and not reconstructed. To protect against theft and to simplify the clearance of rubble in the area, the fountain was initially removed in the post-war period, but on the occasion of the Braunschweig Homeland Day on the 1st October of 1950, it was put back in its original location, where it is still located today. This fountain is called Cimiotti Brunnen. It was constructed by Emil Cimiotti, a Braunschweiger sculptor. So he was born here in Braunschweig, in Brunswick, and it was accomplished in 2001. It is right in the front of the Stadttheater, the city theater. You can see some birds, and this looks like some kind of snake with a large mouth. The State Theater of Brunswick, Stadttheater Braunschweig, is the oldest public theater in Germany. It began as a court theater in 1690. Duke Anton Ulrich von Braunschweig founded the opera house on Hagenmarkt. The court theater was one of the first publicly accessible theater stages in the German-speaking world, and initially a venue for operas. The opera house on Hagenmarkt was then closed in 1861 due to the dilapidation, and it was demolished in 1864. On the 1st October of 1861, after 5 years of construction, the Great House, the new venue on the Steinweg Street, was inaugurated. So this is the current State Theater, owned by the state of Lower Saxony. It's a 5-section house, absolutely beautiful. Staatsbibliothek und Staatsarchivum, the city's archive and library. It was constructed in the beginning of the 20th century. This obelisk is a monument erected in 1123 as a memorial for the Dukes of Brunswick, Karl Wilhelm Ferdinand and Friedrich Wilhelm, who fell in the wars of liberation against Napoleon I. So this place is called Löwenwall. Between 1812 and 1820, the ramparts of the city of Brunswick were redesigned by Peter Joseph Krahe. A 3.1 hectare square was created as part of the August Tor promenade, which became a Monumentplatz after the monument was erected, but in 1904 it's received its present name, Löwenwall. The initiative of erecting this memorial came from the influential citizens of the city. It was renovated in 1996-97. It is 22 meters high, and of course some lions are patrolling the monument. Lions are everywhere. This is the symbol of the city. The Lessing Memorial was inaugurated on the 29th September of 1853. He was born in Braunschweig, and he was an important philosopher, dramatist, publicist of the Enlightenment era. He was born in 1729 and passed away in 1781. His grave was rediscovered in 1853, and then, with the support of the later head of the Municipal Museum, Karl Schiller, the prominent Dresden sculptor Ernst Rietschel was persuaded to design a statue, and the memorial was erected. Very poor people lived in this part of the old town in the medieval ages, and they gained some donations together to build this church, and named it Saint Michael Church. Saint Michael was a patron saint of travelers and of poor people, so that's why they chose this name. And the church also survived the bombings of the Second World War. It's incredible that the poor people built this church with their own hands. They didn't have any support. The Eiermarkt is a street in Braunschweig. It belongs to the oldest part of the old town, and it is located next to the Martini Kirche. The area around the Eiermarkt is one of the first settlement centers of Braunschweig. On a rise in the swampy terrain of an ochre crossing, a rest area was created, later a place of residence for the merchants. The name Eiermarkt was first mentioned in 1479. Eier means eggs in German, so probably people could buy egg here. It is probably marketplace of rural products, and before 1479 the area was included in the Steinmarkt, which would mean a stone market. So now this is only a street, the Eiermarkt. Saint Petri, also called Petri Kirche, was founded in the 12th century as the fourth parish church in the old town of Braunschweig. Since 1528 it is an evangelical Lutheran parish church. Between 1888 and 1898 architect Max Osterloh renovated it in neo-Gothical style. It was destroyed during the Second World War, so between 1954 and 1959 It was restored under the direction of the city church building officer called Friedrich Berndt. Between 1969 and 1971 the tower was given a pointed spire based on the original condition with a copper rooster designed by Bodo Kampmann, which is 3.25 meters high. This is the most important sightseeing attraction of Braunschweig. Well, of course I'm joking. This is the Venus, Braunschweiger Venus, an artwork of Jürgen Weber, and next to this statue we can find some custom houses. I didn't find any information about these custom houses. They are located on the banks of the river Oker. Probably during the medieval ages these custom houses were used to collect taxes from merchants who were sailing through the Oker river. One time I also hired a boat, and it was really fun. So you can rent a boat and sail through the river Oker. And here is a building of the Technical University of Braunschweig. The medieval stone buildings from the 12th to the 14th century are called Kemenate in German, which can be translated as bower to English. As a separate type of building, bowers are probably based on smaller stone storage buildings. In Braunschweig, bowers were typical stone buildings as a refuge from fire and robbery, as representative storage and residential buildings. The bower is usually part of a house complex, which was usually connected to a larger main building. While the front building was mostly a half-timbered building, the stone bower formed a part of the building behind it. Up to the Second World War, there were well over 100 bowers and bower parts in the city of Braunschweig. Of these, only 3 complete bowers have survived today. The Jakob Kemenate, which we can see in front of us, was built in 1250 as a quarry stone building. It is one of the oldest preserved secular buildings in Braunschweig. Since 1765, the Herzogliche Leichausanstalt has been set up, the property at Jakobstrasse 3, Jakob Street 3, founded by Duke Karl I. It is considered the oldest German land credit institution, which formed the origin of the Braunschweigische Staatsbank, a bank in Braunschweig. After renovation, it is currently used for art exhibitions. The building of the post office is also very beautiful. So this was the travel vlog about Braunschweig, Brunswick. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if that's so, please subscribe to my channel if you didn't do it yet. It's very important to push on the bell icon, because this is how you get notified about the new contents. Have a nice day and goodbye.